Hey, party people. I've said this before and I will say it again for the cheap seats in the back. Fashion is the intersection of art and commerce. Okay? We must make room for both. It's not really fashion design if you don't have both. And when we pick fabrics for our fashion collections, we must take into consideration both our creative visions and the financial logistics that will help our businesses thrive. This video is all about how to pick fabrics for your fashion collections. I'm going to be going back and forth, creative questions, business questions that you need to be asking yourselves during this process. And I'm going to break this video up into 3 sections. Things to think about before you start shopping, things to think about while you're shopping, and things to think about after you've picked your fabrics. Whether you're doing all the sourcing by yourself or you're working with the team or you are, you have a sourcing manager that you're dumping all this information on, look, shopping for fabrics without a game plan is like going to the grocery store hungry. Everything looks good and you're going to buy all of it and then you're going to take it all home and chances are you've bought entirely too much and won't finish it and you will toss away a bunch of rotten stuff in the trash can. Okay? So you need a game plan. First, you need to think about your design project. Okay? You start the design process with a design direction and a color story. Okay? When you're in school, this is generally when you do sketchbook development and you put together a mood board off your inspiration. In the industry, this is when the design director tells the team what kind of collection everyone will be working on. Okay? And colors are a direct reflection of the inspiration. Okay? Fabrics are chosen after that. Designs of individual garments are worked on after fabric sample orders have been placed. When you're talking to a fabric sales rep or a sourcing agent, don't bog them down with long stories about your inspiration. Okay? Keep it short and focused on the fabric needs. For example, okay, let's say we're doing a spring-summer 2020. Okay, inspired by the beach and the boardwalk, fun, lighthearted, vintage vibes, nostalgia vibes. So our color story is primary colors, but softened down like a vintage sun-bleach sundress. And we're looking to make casual pants and jackets and dresses, nothing structured or overly tailored, like beat-up denims, washed linen, stuff like that. We're also looking for soft summer shirtings in solids, in polka dots, and probably some ginghams or stripes. Okay, simple patterns like that. And then this information really gives you the focus in picking your fabrics. So keep reminding yourself later as you're shopping, does this suit my overall theme? 2, where do your customers live? If the answer is everywhere, you need to offer the lightest and heaviest options for the season. Teaching university in California meant so many of my students would forget people who had proper winters, with snow. So they would design these fall winter collections with all these light jackets. I'm like, I'm sure people in Sweden and New York really appreciate this. Even if you design a narrow category like lingerie, there are definitely like light, beautiful cottons and chantilly laces and specific colors that really work well for spring, summer. And then there are like heavier guipure laces, often lined with heavier fabrics, satins and things with heavier fall, winter colors for the colder seasons. Number 3, what categories do you design? If you're designing a specific category, like your company only does t-shirts, that really narrows things down. But for the sake of this demo, let's pretend we're doing a complete wardrobe collection, coats and pants and tops and everything, okay? We're gonna build a shopping list, a shopping tree of sorts, okay? And I recommend you also write one out for yourself and take it with you when you are going to your meetings, when you are going shopping. Let's start by discussing different weights of fabrics because you're going to need to buy something for each category. I cannot tell you the number of times people come in and they want to do a full wardrobe collection on like really flimsy chiffons. It's like, what are you going to make your pants out of? Okay. So, number one, bottom weights is the industry term for heavier materials for bottoms, pants, and skirts, and also, jackets and coats. It's just the term, okay? And how heavy the bottom weight is for a collection depends on the season, okay? So, lightweight bottom weights can be denim, other cotton twills, worsted wool suitings, and heavy bottom weights can be like the heaviest sweater knits and quilted fabrics, heavy woolens. For a fall winter collection, you will probably need both lighter bottom weights and heavier bottom weights. Many companies will showcase everything at once, whether on a runway or in a trade show, in a lookbook, and then have different delivery dates. Okay, lighter fall stuff will ship to stores in late summer, and heavier winter stuff will ship later when the stores want to display the big coats and holiday dresses. If you have a direct-to-consumer website, you may want to post just a few styles at a time, so it just looks like you have a steady stream of new looks to keep shoppers visiting your website. I'm not going to go over the details of each fabric because I already have an ongoing series on fabrics in which I show swatches, close up, and deep dive on fibers. That's my fabrics playlist, and I'll drop a link to that in the playlist below. Right now, in my shopping list tree, I am just listing a bunch of options for you to consider within these categories. I am not going to buy all these things for this collection I'm working on. You should be making a list that's specific to your collection. What are some good possibilities for you? If you don't know the names of stuff, the best way to get started is to go visit a fabric store, go feel fabrics, go feel for things that you think would work, and then see what it's called. Or just ask the person, like, what do you call this fabric? But usually there's signs everywhere. Top weights are lighter materials for tops and blouses, t-shirts, sweaters, sweatshirts all fit in this category. And they tend to be softer materials because tops are generally not tailored or need to be protective. Even the crispest shirtings will be drapier than most bottom weights. Now, dress weight is a term that is used sometimes, but I don't love this term because it's vague. Dresses can be made out of a lot of weights. You can have like tailored shift dresses made out of denim or a pinstripe wool, and then you can have t-shirt dresses. Similarly, you can make certain skirts out of top weights, like those more loose-fitting skirts that are gathered or have lots of layers. You can't really make a pencil skirt out of a top weight like batiste or chiffon unless you have a really substantial lining, okay? Because one wrong sit and it's like rip. Similarly, you can make certain pant styles out of top weights like, palazzo pants, but these are the exceptions and not the rule. The last category is your novelty fabrics, and you don't always need this, but this category is for special fabrics. They might not be used very much, but really add a special creative punch to the collection. Maybe it's super expensive and you're going to only offer a couple of things. Maybe you're going to only use it as a trim, something like that. And this can be something like a fur, a beaded fabric, a sequin fabric, a specialty lace. Okay, so now that you know what categories to shop for, another question you need to ask yourself is your price range. You need to shop for fabrics within your price range so you can stay within the price range of your final product. I have a video on how to cost sheet backwards so you can get an estimate on how much you can spend per yard, and I'll link that below. Of course, these prices can be in a range within your price point. A coat is often more expensive than a spring jacket within the same label because coat fabrics often require more tailoring, more expensive fabrics, linings, etc. So you can spend a little more on coat fabrics, special fabrics, and beaded fabrics, but you need to balance that out with less expensive top weights, t-shirt materials, sweatshirt materials, etc. Next, let's talk about some things to consider while you're shopping. Okay. 1, all your fabrics should go together. That's why you go shopping with your color chips taped to a sheet of paper. I wouldn't go in with exact Pantone numbers yet, unless you plan on ordering custom dyed fabrics. Okay. I have a video on how to put together a color story, which I'll link below. Every fabric should be purchased in different colors in your color story, except maybe your novelty fabrics. Okay. If you do a linen shirt, you need to offer it in multiple colorways. Generally speaking, especially if you're working with, you need to work with smaller minimums, if they don't offer, your fabric that you like in the colors that you need, you should just skip it. On screen, there was a polka dot I really liked, but it was all very like blue and pink and super bright, and that was not my color story at all, so I had to let it go. Second, ask about ordering minimums for individual items, okay? MOQ means minimum order quantity. Some companies, they do this thing where they have some fabrics they keep in stock and some fabrics they make to order within the same company. Okay? And usually their stock items have way lower minimums and it takes way faster to get them because they're already in stock, right? And so even if it's the same company, they might have different minimums per item. So ask about that. Ask about lead times. Lead times are how long it takes to produce and ship to you, okay? And when you're shopping for sustainable, eco-friendly materials, ask for certifications. I'll drop a link to ecolabelindex.com below so you can read up on some of the various certifications. Some certifications focus on specific countries of production. Some focus on specific fibers. Some focus on fair labor more than eco-friendly materials, okay? But there's a lot of different certifications, a lot. So you should skim through the descriptions in the website. Beyond your color story, look for various textures. It is very boring to have a collection of all smooth, flat fabrics, even if the color story is great. Mix in some textured sweater knits with interesting stitch patterns, with purposely wrinkled linen textures, some eyelet lace with some smooth, flat basics like t-shirt, jerseys, and denim. Okay. If you are working on a fall winter collection, throw in some of those chunky sweater knits and add some velvet or add some slinky silk jersey, mix matte and shiny, textured and smooth. And one more thing, I could do one more thing for like an hour. You know that, right? One more thing, do not forget to pick your linings, especially for your fall winter collections. Lining colors should match or coordinate with the outside fabric. I love a fun lining. A few years ago, I had a black cashmere overcoat, custom tailored for my husband, and I picked out a sassy little satin polka dot lining. It was so cute. I love it. Your lining should also coordinate with the quality of your outer fabrics, okay? If you have 100% silk, heavy charmeuse that you plan on using for evening jackets, do not line it with some crap polyester, okay? You can use a cheaper silk like Habitai. It's still silk, so it holds like the silk properties and performs like silk. It feels like silk, all that good stuff, but it's far more cheaper than the charmeuse on the outside. Typically, okay, rayons go under wools and leathers, cottons go under other cottons, silks go under other silks. And if you want more information on linings, go shopping, okay? Fiber content is in all those labels. Sometimes it's the label at the back of the neck. Sometimes it's the label, in the side seam with all the information. But yeah, go study up on your favorite designers and what they are using for their linings. After you've chosen your fabrics and ordered your sample yardage, it's the time to design the individual garments. And yes, to repeat, this is the order of operations in most fashion companies. So this is the design process that I teach. It is also the most efficient order and helps designers create cohesive collections. Once you've chosen your fabrics, remember, you do not have to use them as is. There are a lot of things you can do with the yardage, okay? In a mass production scale, everyone thinks like fabric manipulation is for like everything, doing things by hand for like 20 pieces. No, okay? You probably already know you can distress and wash denims in all kinds of patterns, and you can take your fabrics and you can go get it pleated, professionally pleated, and there are so many different pleats you can play with. Go watch my pleats video, which I'll link below, and you can play with the size of pleats and the kind of fold and the direction and what sections of the garment is pleat, like all kinds of stuff, right? And you can get your fabric quilted. You can choose a lot of different stitch patterns for your quilting. You can get patterns of holes laser cut out of it. In the design project I'm working on screen, I got inspired by the eyelet and the cool herringbone knit. So I was thinking maybe I laser cut holes in a specific pattern out of the knit and then stitch around the edges and make it look like a mock knit eyelet lace sort of hybrid. You can add rows of decorative stitching to the yardage, which is different from having like individual embroidery designs, like one flower on a shoulder or something. You can just get rows and rows and rows of decorative stitching done to fabric. You can order PFD fabrics prepared for dyeing. Okay, and those are like the raw fabrics, and you can custom dye your fabrics, you can custom print your fabrics, all that good stuff. Okay. And yeah, if you are somebody who's doing, small quantities and handwork is part of your signature, then yes, sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to worry about, mass production industrial processes. Okay? One last note, as you're designing your bodies, remember, you must offer every style in multiple colors. You must use each of your fabrics in multiple designs. 1, it helps make your collection look cohesive. And 2, it helps you meet your fabric order minimums. Okay? It makes for more efficient cutting markers. It increases your chances of sales. You've ordered your sample yardage. You've taken headers and swatches home. Chances are, though, you won't use every fabric you sample. You'll start designing and playing, and you'll start slowly gravitating towards certain materials more than others. And it's fine. You'll play with those, and then you'll order a much narrower fabric story come production time. Okay, I think I threw enough into your face for one video. Please give this video a thumbs up if you learned something new today. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Remember, learning is not just pure consumption of new information. Learning requires you to take knowledge and apply it and practice it repeatedly to really absorb it. That's the learning process. Okay, so go practice and do some design projects. Practice shopping for fabrics and putting beautiful fabric stories together. # practice, not magic, y'all. Am I right? Okay, and I will see you in the next video.